All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is, wherever it is that you are, welcome once more to another live stream of IRL Girl Talk. I'm your host, Alexandra Mayers. Um, we're doing tonight's IRL Girl Talk on a day and at a time that I normally don't do it. Normally, I have this show scheduled for either Wednesdays or Thursdays at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, but I didn't do the last IRL Girl Talk due to the Thanksgiving holiday. So I figured, okay, let me go ahead and reschedule it for Monday because tonight I want to talk about a particular legal case that's going on. And it's a legal case that very few people are aware of, but ironically, this particular case um, it's out of the same area of the country where the Kyle Rittenhouse case took place. Everyone knows about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. If you don't know about it, Google it. You basically would have had to live under a rock not to know about it. But in the same county or city, Kenosha, Wisconsin, there's a situation revolving around a young woman, a young African American woman known as Chrystul Kizer. Okay. Now, before I go into any commentary about the case, I'm just going to read the Wikipedia entry about the case. And this particular case really hit home for me when I learned about it because this case doesn't only revolve around a young girl who's African American and who contended with elements of sex trafficking, but this case has to do with how people have regarded her, how people have treated her due to her alleged assaulter being a Caucasian American male. It has to do with how she's received very little media attention, specifically due to her ethnic background, her being a black woman. And there's just a lot to this case, but this particular case really triggered me, especially when it comes to certain things that I've revisited from my past lately. Also, some elements in regards to just how I've been treated by American Caucasian males as of late online. All right. Now, if you follow my official blog, which can be found on alexandramayerslive.com, you know what I'm talking about. So before I go any further, I hope all of you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I definitely did. And I had a really good day today. I had a good day today. I visited with my dad. I visited with my dad's partner. Um, I'm really settling into the Texas area quite nicely. And I'm letting a lot of things go from the past. But I'm also allowing my mind to process through a lot of things that I still need to let go of. But I finally can process certain things now because I'm not running anymore. Sometimes, regardless of how old we get, we don't realize until later in life that much of our youth may have revolved around running from something that we didn't even realize we were running from. So, anyways, this is from wikipedia.org. Chrystul Kizer case. And she spells her name in a unique way. It's spelled Chrystul Kizer, Kizer. All right. Chrystul Kizer was arrested at age 17 for the alleged murder of Randall Philip Volar III. During her arrest, she claimed Volar was her pimp. On June 5th, 2018, she shot him twice set his house on fire, then stole his car. Kizer was arrested and incarcerated at Kenosha County Detention Facility to await trial. Kenosha County prosecutors charged her with first-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon, and 4 other felonies. They contend the murder was premeditated. If convicted, she would face mandatory life sentence in prison. Kizer's lawyer claims she was a child trafficking victim, acting in self-defense against her pimp. Her case received renewed notoriety in December of 2019 after the Washington Post interviewed her and after the George Floyd protests. Community activists posted her $400,000 bond, and she was released in June 2020. A trial date is not set. Renewed interest in her case followed the Kyle Rittenhouse case, where the defense claimed self-defense and the jury delivered a not guilty verdict. I'm going to pause there. Without even reading any further, she acted in self-defense. I'm going to go more into detail, but before I do, I am going to note that her pimp was about twice her age. He'd already been in trouble for some incidents revolving around sex trafficking in the past. And I think that she would have been regarded far differently had the ethnicities been reversed. Had her pimp been black and she had been white. Okay? But when it comes to sex trafficking, rape, being exploited, especially if a woman is a minor still, it's still a sort of a death sentence in a certain way for the victim. Because you might not die right away, but you die slowly inside. A part of you definitely does die, if you're a rape victim especially. And is the type of abuse or scar that nobody in your waking life, in your everyday life sees, but it's there. And just as a woman, from my perspective, men who are rapists really never are punished severely enough. Because again, it's kind of crime, it's the kind of assault that just never goes away. To me, it's the same thing as somebody shooting someone point blank in the head. It just is. So anyways, let me read the background and the incident. And again, this is out of the same area as the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And it's very interesting that nobody took notice of this until the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. All right, so there's someone in the chat, unfortunately, who I'm going to have to ban, who's being very disrespectful of the theme tonight. I'm not surprised. All right. Kenosha, Wisconsin resident Chrystul Kizer met Randy Volar III, a 34-year-old man, on Backpage when she was only 16 years old. She posted to the site after a referral from a girl she knew and stated that she needed the money for food and school notebooks. He was the first person to contact her when she joined the site. So he was looking specifically for young girls. She lived with him and alleged that he sexually abused her regularly and sometimes filmed the abuse for over a year. So in other words, he was using her to make adult content, pornography. And it makes me wonder, where was he posting this? And whatever website this was posted to was basically engaging in participating in the creation of child pornography. Why isn't that in this Wikipedia? Because you have to be over the age of 18 to participate in adult content in the United States of America. Kizer alleged that he began trafficking her using Backpage and took the money that she was paid. So he was definitely her pimp, if her allegations are true. And considering what she did, I'd be willing to put money on the fact that this is all true. Volar was previously arrested in 2017 after a 15-year-old Black girl reported him to police for giving her drugs and threatening to kill her. Again, I'm willing to put money on the fact that this girl's telling the truth because he'd already been in trouble before, but he had the complexion for the protection. He was charged with child enticement, using a computer to facilitate a child sex crime, and second-degree sexual assault of a child. Volar was released the same day and had to pay no bail and was told he would receive a court summons. So in other words, the Kenosha legal system enabled a white man to continue to target young Black girls of minor age to sex traffic because the girl who killed him was another one of his victims. He didn't just do it once, and these people knew about it. But here's the reality. The reality is what people don't want me to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it. People say Alexandra's crazy. Yeah, because you got to be crazy to publicly talk about this kind of shit. Kenosha, Wisconsin is trying to bring back pre-Civil War slavery. And the federal government of the United States of America needs to take over that county, clear out whoever the judges currently are, clear out whoever is holding offices of a legal nature having to do with law enforcement in that area, and put in some replacements. Maybe people directly from Washington, D.C., maybe, I don't know how they would go about doing it, but the people who are in power in that county right now, they don't do their job. And they are racist, and they are colorist, and they are bigots. And they basically enabled this man, who today is dead, to enslave young Black children who are female for sexual purposes. That's what's going on in Kenosha. It's not just the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. It's this Chrystul Kizer situation. And this is what everybody needs to know about. And this is what people need to be really talking about a lot more. The Washington Post reported that court records demonstrated that police had evidence that Volar was abusing multiple underage Black girls, and there was video evidence of the abuse. Yes. And he probably profited off of this, which means that most likely there is some sort of a porn website somewhere that exploited and profited off these girls. And I want to know what that website is. Records also showed that the prosecutor's office received the evidence 12 days before Volar was killed and 3 months after his arrest. Kizer killed Volar on June 5th, 2018 by shooting him in the head. Kizer admitted to taking an Uber from Milwaukee to the deceased residence, shooting him because, quote, she had gotten upset and she was tired of him touching her, end quote, and then starting a fire at the residence before departing in the deceased's car. A neighbor called 911 to report the fire at Volar's home. Police found and identified his burned body, and the autopsy showed the bullets in his head. His car was found abandoned in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The police found a receipt in the vehicle and traced it to Kizer, who was arrested at her boyfriend's home in Milwaukee. Now here's the aftermath. Kizer was incarcerated at the Kenosha County Detention Facility, and bail was set at $1 million. Kenosha County charged her with first-degree intentional murder, which carries a mandatory life sentence in prison according to Wisconsin law. Why isn't there a mandatory life sentence in prison for trafficking children for sexual purposes in Wisconsin law? Seems like there should be. Seems like there should be, but there isn't. Lead prosecutor and district attorney Michael Gravely stated that the murder was premeditated. Well, the child trafficking was premeditated. The prosecution agreed that Volar was an abuser, but further stated that Kizer planned to steal Volar's car, as indicated by being armed with the gun, and that she downloaded a police scanner app the day of the shooting. In December of 2019, in her first press interview, Kizer disputed her initial police statement to the Washington Post and said she had killed Volar in self-defense because he had her pinned down and was attempting to sexually assault her. In other words, he was trying to rape her. Her lawyers planned to argue an affirmative defense, a Wisconsin state law that allows one to be acquitted of all charges if a crime was committed by someone being trafficked. And she was clearly trafficked. She was a minor who a man twice her age coerced and exploited in pornography. And that's against the law right there. But for some reason, this isn't mentioned in there. There are no known cases where the affirmative defense has been used in an offense involving a violent crime. In December of 2019, Kenosha County Circuit Court Judge David Wilk ruled that Chrystul did not have access to the affirmative defense law for trafficking victims. But she is a trafficking victim. So now we're going to go to the part called media attention and activism. And every Black woman in America, we all need to spread the word about this case. We all need to make this common knowledge. None of us need to ever stop talking about this, because this isn't the only time something like this has happened. But in the United States of America, there's a mentality to where there's a lot of men in power who happen to be white, who truly do believe that you can't rape a Black or an African American woman. They really do think this. They think that no matter what the case, for some reason, Black African American women just love white men. No matter what. No matter what. That's what a lot still think to this day. It all stems from pre-Civil War slavery. It also stems from the colonization of a lot of indigenous people in various countries in Africa and whatnot. But I encourage all of you to look at the most recent 2 video posts over on the IRL News Time channel. I believe, I don't believe in coincidence. I do believe in divine timing of a lot of things. But I specifically want people to watch the second to the most recent video on the IRL News Time channel. I want you to really listen to what an individual known as a Barefoot Iguana, an IRL streamer close to my age, had to say specifically about Black women. And what he had to say, first off, I have to say that this man is just ignorant. I think he's just an ignorant, stupid ass bigot. But what he said specifically about me personally, it triggered me to such a degree, not only because of things that have happened to me in my past, but this particular case, and it really opened my eyes. And I'm not going to sit here and say that every single white male in America embodies the mentality that I'm outlining here today, because they don't. But enough do to where, had it not been for the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, the Washington Post most likely never would have taken note of this Chrystul Kizer situation. We wouldn't be sitting here today talking about it. And how many other Black young women in America have dealt with something like this? How many Black women in America have been sexually exploited or raped or had some other horrific crime happen to them at the hand of a white American male, and the legal system turns a blind eye to it? Some people say, oh, Alexandra, all she talks about is race. Yeah. That is all I talk about, because somebody has to talk about it. And it's just there. And it bothers me a lot. Kizer's case received national attention after Jessica Contreras of the Washington Post covered the story in December of 2019. Alyssa Milano and Tarana Burke were among those who circulated information about the case on social media. Thank you, Alyssa Milano. Critics of Kizer's arrest argued that the criminal justice system frequently punishes trafficking victims such as Kizer. They do. Sex crimes experts stated that children of color are seen as willing participants in trafficking cases. Yeah. Supporters wrote letters to Kizer. Centoya Brown Long wrote an op-ed that outlined the similarities between their cases. A petition with approximately 950,000 signatures circulated that requested Kizer's release and the case's dismissal in 2019. DA Gravely posted a Facebook response that stated he would not be swayed by the petition. Kizer's mother, Devore Taylor, formed the Chrystul Kizer Defense Committee to organize around the case and to raise bail money. The case received renewed attention again after the George Floyd protests, and organizations such as Chicago Community Bond Fund received an influx of donations. So now we're going to go to the ongoing case section. A trial date has not been set. In February of 2020, Judge Wilk lowered the bond amount to $400,000. At a June 2020 hearing, Kizer's public defenders stated that she contracted COVID-19 while incarcerated and argued that she should be released and receive medical attention. The motion was denied. So they want to keep, they're using this girl as an example in Kenosha County because they want to be able to get away with this shit. That's what this is. Kizer was released on June 22nd, 2020, after she posted bond raised by the Chicago Community Bond Fund, the Milwaukee Freedom Fund, Survived and Punished, and the Chrystul Kizer Defense Committee. On June 2nd of 2021, the Wisconsin Court of Appeals released a published decision finding that the trial court had erred when denying her the ability to raise as an affirmative defense, Wisconsin Statute 939.46, related to victims of human trafficking and child sex trafficking. The decision is pending review under the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. So this is going to be a case that I keep up with. I'm just going to see very quickly what the update is on this, if there's any recent news. Well, it looks like there's a lot of people calling in for the judge to drop the charges against this young woman. Let me read this. Democracy Now! 11 hours ago, this was posted. Since Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted under claims of self-defense for fatally shooting 2 people and wounding a 3rd during racial justice protests last year in Kenosha, Wisconsin, another case in the city is drawing new national attention. Human rights advocates are calling for charges to be dropped in the case of Chrystul Kizer, who faces homicide and other charges for killing her white sex trafficker in 2018 after he drugged her and tried to rape her when she was just 17 years old. So there were drugs involved too. That wasn't in the Wikipedia, conveniently. Court records show police knew Randall Villar had a history of sexually abusing underage Black girls. Although the court initially ruled Kizer could not use a self-defense argument, an appellate court reversed the decision, and the Wisconsin Supreme Court will now consider the ruling. I mean, look how far this is going. You know, all these people are like, what should we do? When it's really clear what should be done. But this is where we are in the year 2021, almost 2022 in the United States of America. You still have a bunch of white assholes running around thinking that it's okay to rape a little Black girl, and they want everyone to just to sit down and shut up about it. And they just don't want anyone to talk about it. And they want to just throw her in jail, not let her come out of the jail. But then they want to go ahead and let Kyle Rittenhouse just run down the street shooting people because he's white. Or at least is considered white in the opinion of the majority of people in the United States of America. Some people are like, oh, he's Latin. Nah, he's a little white boy. He gets to do it. But then this girl raped, bullied, trafficked, put into porn as a minor. And everyone's humming and hawing over it. And she's got to live with this shit for the rest of her damn life. Yeah. So that's where we are. That's where we are. And that's what I wanted to talk about tonight on IRL Girl Talk. And I'm really glad that there's a lot of people linked to these little white supremacist groups over on that IP2 network who watch IRL Girl Talk, because all of you who are watching, who are running around using the N-word, trying to bring back pre-Civil War mentalities and shit, karma's going to get you. It's already started. But karma's really going to bite you in the ass hard. Because this kind of thing, it's not just triggering me. It's triggering everybody. It's triggering everybody. Because it's so sick and it's so wrong. To all the young girls out there, regardless of what your ethnicity is. You are beautiful. You don't deserve to be abused or raped or exploited, no matter what any asshole tells you. Okay? And when you speak out about what happened to you, I want every young woman out there to realize that when you choose to speak out, very few people are going to believe you. For the most part, people are going to tell you to shut the hell up. But that's where you got to have your inner strength and find strength in a higher power, and don't ever shut up. Don't ever stop fighting. And if you know of somebody who has been abused or hurt in this kind of capacity, you need to stand next to them and you need to fight for them, and you don't ever stop fighting, because otherwise change will never happen. You have to get angry. You have to allow the emotions to flow. And at this point in time, it's a losing battle. But again, how you win is by realizing that simply by fighting, you've already beat the system. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and end this stream for tonight. Anyone out there who was watching or listening, thank you for watching and listening. I see Brent out there. Hello, Brent. Thank you for coming in and listening to some of this tonight. And I will post this as a replay. I might edit it and repost it on a couple other channels or platforms. But keep up with this Chrystul Kizer case. Keep up with it. Keep up with it. I've been through a lot, but I'm also very blessed. I'm very blessed to have parents that care about me, who have helped me heal from a lot of things. I'm very blessed to have a wonderful father, a wonderful mother, a wonderful sister, a wonderful rest of my family. We all might not always get along all the time, but thank you to all my family for being there for me. And we all just got to be there a lot more for each other. I want to find a picture of Chrystul Kizer, just so y'all can see her. I mean, if my circumstances had been different, I could have been Chrystul Kizer. A lot of us could be. Here she is. Don't want the reflection, but here she is. Here she is. She's a little teenage black girl. I want to show you who did all this shit to her, too. Just so y'all see. This guy. And now he's dead. D-E-A-D, dead. He's dead. White males out there, I just wanted to dispel a little rumor that some of you believe. Not every black woman wants to fuck you. And black American women especially do not look at it as a privilege to be raped by you. Okay? Have a good night. Thanks for watching IRL Girl Talk. Bye-bye.